I've been around this long enough. I've been around that community long enough to know it's going to be damn hard to overcome this. It's been brewing. This is uglier than you could have imagined. And a lot of people there who were influential were kind of, it felt like circling, the sharks were circling in the ocean for something like this to happen to say, see, told you it's time.
I hear you, man.
And what I don't know is I haven't even looked at the buyout. I don't know all of that. I'm just saying, get ready for a Sunday and a Monday of a lot of noise. And now all of a sudden we are talking about Penn State, Florida, some major programs. And this isn't going to be the end of it. It's going to be a major story as we get closer to like December and January in the college football playoff. And who are the coaches that are being pursued?
See what we got here. And I also want to say, by the way, that we talked about LSU, did we not? Did we not talk about LSU? Did we not talk about them not being very good? We had 1 week where we thought that they were pretty good when they beat Clemson. Turns out Clemson's terrible. And I said in the last episode, I believe, that I was not impressed with LSU at all when they played tougher competition, that they would lose. And they had already lost before this. And then they lose to Vanderbilt, and it's not even close. Ruined a bet of mine, by the way. And this what we're watching right now. This is terrible defense. This is terrible defense. Because, like we talked about, Brian Kelly sucks too. Look up the story about the captain that was on his team that got handicapped, disabled, and he never even visited him in the hospital. We should do a story about that. Welcome in and welcome back to the Coliseum. My name is Logan Hyder. I hope that you have had a good week since I have seen you. As always, I missed you dearly, and we thank you very much for clicking on this video. We have a lot to go over today, but in a weird way, not very much to go over. Pretty much everything that we're going to talk about happened off the field, but quite a few pretty interesting stories, pretty massive stories, actually. And then we're going to have a handful of stories that, as usual, aren't as important or as big of a deal, but certainly are noteworthy, or we want to look at them for one reason or another. So with that being said, let's just jump straight into it. At this point, I almost feel bad for mentioning a coach's name in the NFL or in college football, because they just essentially get immediately fired. It's been a rough one this season for people that I have called out or called for the jobs of. We had James Franklin already lose his job. UCLA already cleaned out their entire coaching staff. We mentioned them. We talked about K Klubnik. They've been terrible. We talked about LSU. They've had a real big fall from grace, which is exactly what we're going to talk about today, because somebody that wasn't really on the radar as far as losing their job to this point was Brian Kelly. We did speak about him last week, though, in literally the last episode, talking about how people should do a little bit more of a deep dive on him and how bad of a job he's doing to LSU. And apparently the AD decided to do a little bit more of a deep dive on the guy that he had running his program. And Brian Kelly has been let go. Also, in the last couple of weeks, we talked about that Billy Napier had lost his job as well. I just wanted to throw this in there, too, while we're talking about Brian Kelly today, which will be the main topic that we discuss today, is Brian Kelly and the all the openings that there are in college football at the moment. But Florida being one of them. $21 million buyout. In the big scheme of how college football buyouts are, really not that big of a deal for Florida. Napier's buyout is more than $21 million. Half of that number is due to Napier. It's more than $21 million. So probably by that he means like just a little bit between 21 and 22, more than likely. Napier's buyout is more than $21 million. Half of that number is due to Napier within 30 days. He is not subject to offset or mitigation, which means he's due all of it, even if he lands another job. So we talked about James Franklin in the last episode and how it probably was the case that there were these stipulations in the contract, which would make sense because buyouts make no sense at all. So there probably were stipulations like James Franklin had, which was that he had to actively search for another job, and if it didn't pay him as much as the buyout, then they would just pay the difference. So if his TV job paid him $2, and Penn State owed him $8, Penn State would actually owe him $6 in that scenario. In this case, apparently that will not be the case. Even if he does land another job, they have to pay him all $21 million. Good for Billy Napier. If you can make $21 million by being bad at what you do, that is, listen, hats off to you. You figured it out. This brings me to this next point that I wanted to make. By the way, Brian Kelly, as we go to talk about this, keep in mind that he will be fine. Like we talked about last week, you get fired as a head coach. Once you are a head coach, you're good to go. Top landing spots for Billy Napier: North Carolina, Nebraska, UCLA, UAB, Publix. Clearly Publix is the winner. Oh, goodness gracious. But no, for real, though. Billy Napier's already been mentioned for other jobs in all seriousness, which just goes to the point that I said last week. Once you get there, you kind of just keep getting hired. It's pretty insane. Now, these, the actual places that he's been mentioned at, probably coordinator jobs. But bringing me to today's main subject, we have quite a lot of media to look at for Mr. Brian Kelly, who was let go by LSU last week after another bad start to the season. Right here we have LSU coaches in their first 4 years. You have Nick Saban, Les Miles, Ed Orgeron, and Brian Kelly. We'll get to Edo. Go Tigers in just a second. But Nick Saban, SEC title and national title, 39-13 record in his first 4 years, 42-11 for Les Miles, SEC title, national title, 40-9. Actually, the best of them was Ed Orgeron, which is so funny. SEC title and national title. And then you have Brian Kelly, 34-14, no SEC title, no national title. I think that's pretty surprising to see. Man, people used to complain about Les. They certainly did. And on that list, I would say that's probably the guy that you want back if you're LSU. I've actually legitimately seen them talking about bringing him back, which is nuts. Again, you just get retreaded over and over and over again. But even as a fan, I'm like, that would be pretty cool to see. But Ed Orgeron is a pretty weird case where you have a guy who coaches literally the best team in college football history, with one of the best seasons at quarterback, if not the best season at quarterback. My personal vote for the best season that's ever been played was Joe Burrow's national title season under Ed Orgeron, and he's gone within a couple of years. They have some pretty high standards at LSU and just in the South in general, which brings me to my first video that I would like to play for you. Cam Newton discussing the reality of coaching in the SEC.
Necessarily a message or a discussion point about Brian Kelly, more so than it is a warning for the next person that takes this job. You must understand, when you go to the top tier or a tier 1 team in the SEC, and I'm not talking about a tier 1 team by merely talent, skill set, or anything like that. I'm talking about tier 1 as far as budget allocations. When you talk about an LSU, when you talk about a University of Florida, when you're talking about an Alabama, when you're talking about a UGA, those tier 1 budgeted schools in the SEC, and there are more, mediocrity or mediocre coaching will not be tolerated. You must understand that. So anybody who wants to insert their resume for a potential job interview, you must understand, if you don't have intentions to win, and I mean win yesterday, do not take that job, because this is what will happen. When you look at Brian Kelly's overall record versus the SEC, 34-14. Now, some would say, well, he was okay. That's mediocre.
We just looked at all the other records of the coaches at LSU, and it's quite literally mediocre. I mean, 34-14 is not bad, but you also got to realize that LSU is beating up on a lot of good teams, or a lot of bad teams, and the good teams that they play is who they've not really been competitive with. I mean, again, they lost to Texas A&M in the last couple of weeks, but they also lost to Vanderbilt, and I just can't help it. I mean, it's just hilarious that that's a bad enough loss that you lose your coach afterward.
The thing that Coach DeBoer has really figured out over in Alabama is saying, we have to win football games. It's not even we gotta win. We have to win. It's life or death, and we need to start playing with a sense of urgency. Brian Kelly's demeanor, ever since walking into the Bayou State, has always been.
I don't know if he's about to talk about this, but I for sure do not have the video at the moment. But let's remember that Brian Kelly's tenure here started off with him going to sporting events with a completely fake Cajun accent and a Southern accent, and he totally switched his accent. He literally went from Notre Dame to LSU and immediately switched his entire accent, which he of course lost right after that. I haven't heard him use that since then, but his initial appearances as an LSU head coach were with this completely fake, just out of this world accent. There's no just authenticity there other than just being an asshole, from what I can gather.
A little lax, a little that's not what the SEC represent. Especially when you look at the likes of a Nick Saban, who's coached there, Ed Orgeron, who's coached there, Les Miles. They had attitude. Their teams were violent, and they stood on something. So the next person who thinks about coaching LSU or any tier 1 team in the SEC, you can't play around. You have to be intentional, and you have to win fast.
He's exactly correct about that, and the unfortunate part is that that had he been more successful on the field, he wouldn't have lost his job. He'd still be the coach at LSU, and that is unfortunate because he seems to not be very popular. I don't have this post either, but Malik Neighbors, right after he was fired, posted a video of somebody kicking rocks. You interpret that how you will. He deleted it after that. I never understand why athletes do that. Like, people don't, screen grab and everything, their posts before that. But anyways, he deleted it, but he basically told Les Miles. He basically told Brian Kelly to kick rocks. Let's look at some of the comments from some of his other former players. Let's go to this video right here. By the way, this is not exactly news to this channel. We mentioned it before about how he's a terrible guy and somebody needs to look into the situation with his captain, who was essentially handicapped, and then he never reached out to him, which we will do today. But yeah, let's just continue to present the case as to why this couldn't have happened to a better guy.
I don't think people realize quite how toxic things are at LSU under Brian Kelly. You have former players calling him out. There's no culture. Old players don't want to come back. LSU is one of those schools that dudes had pride playing there, and they came back and they gave back to the younger generation. Braden Mahoko played on LSU's 2019 championship team.
This is the LSU team. The LSU team.
My name is Braden Mahoko. I'm here to talk about Brian Kelly. People thought I was hating on my alma mater. All I've wanted people to see that there were holes in this man's armor. When you've been around long enough and know the culture that does not exist in Baton Rouge right now, doesn't take Stevie Wonder to see that. And I said that Brian Kelly didn't want alumni around the program. Everybody thinks this is about going to games on Saturday nights. LOL. No. This is about the off-season of having your past guys around the team in a workout environment, very similar to what Tommy Moffitt had. Brian Kelly has just made them into uninteresting, not very good. More than anything, he's made them unlikable. I never thought LSU could beat them.
So yeah, like you said, more than anything, he's made them unlikable. They're not very good on the field, and it's starting to pile up now off of the field. I'm gonna play this last video for you real quick before we move into another couple examples, some of the more serious stuff when it comes to Brian Kelly. So let's see what we got here from Damian Harris.
Necessarily say that I'm surprised that his players don't care what he has to say. I'm not necessarily surprised that they're not buying into whatever theatrics or political speeches he gives. They can tell. Players can see right through all of the speeches. We got to do this. This is Louisiana State University. I've had success other places, blah, blah, blah. They can see right through that.
By the way, has he? He's a good coach. His resume's good, but what? Why Brian Kelly is in this top tier of coaches, I will never understand. Based on the success that he had at Notre Dame, sure, we've talked about this before, but let me just nail this point home as well. Notre Dame has a borderline cheating setup with not playing in a conference. The conference alignment that they have is with the ACC, one of the weakest conferences in all of college football. So they play ACC teams as if they're in the ACC, which even if they were in the ACC, that's not a resume booster. That's a terrible conference. But they're not even in the ACC, so they don't have to play a championship game. They play less games, and that last game, by the way, the conference championship game, is against what would be the other best team in that conference. So if there is a tough game to be played via your conference, even if you have a weaker conference, it would come during that game. So they're playing less games, and they're avoiding possibly the best team that they'll play all year, or a rematch with a team maybe that they played earlier in the season that was the best team that they played all year. So just the way that they have it set up there is made, especially in a playoff system. Are you kidding me? It is made for them to get in every single year. They're basically already in, and as soon as it became a playoff system, it was already like that. They got favoritism in the BCS as well because of the same thing. But yeah, so this idea that Brian Kelly's some elite coach is, again, I'm not even really sure where that ever really came from.
If you have a coach in front of you that's not genuine, that does not care about the players, the families, and most importantly, making these the most successful young men that they can be, they see right through that. They don't listen. They don't play to a certain standard, and they just don't do what you need them to do. And that's why Brian Kelly's in the situation that he's in.
So let's go ahead and read this comment right here. Damian nailed this. He does not care. Kelly let a player with a brain tumor play without receiving any real care and then abandoned him after he was no longer useful. Facts. Had Ryan Clark crying interviewing that young man. Facts. We're about to show you that. Broke my heart. And how he responded to questions about Kyren Lacy, which we've talked about before and we're about to again, during the press conference where the discussion was about his innocence and reporters wanted to know his thoughts. Instead of showing support for the Lacy family, he was basically defending the police. Nah, as a mother, I was disgusted by his behavior. No self-respecting LSU fan should let this man feel safe anywhere. Should let this man feel safe anywhere in the state of Louisiana. He should be harassed and booed everywhere he goes. Good God. Yeah, it really couldn't be worse for Brian. Oh, wait, it could be. Let's see what we got here. Well, I mean, it does get worse, but I'm just saying, by the way, that it couldn't be worse whenever you immediately have stories like this coming out from family and former players. I mean, everywhere you could imagine, stories that are coming out. I just wish that some of this stuff would have been addressed while it was there, and they didn't wait until, ironically, after Kelly was no longer of good use to them. You know, they kind of waited until the product on the field disintegrated to such a point that they had to fire him, and now everybody wants to speak up. So that part I don't really love, but at the same time, like Brandon Fehiko, he had been saying it before, and he was kind of posting a victory lap of saying, like, look, see, I told you so. Dude didn't develop culture. He didn't welcome in former players. So some people were speaking up. But let's go ahead and jump to the next story here. Kyren Lacy's father, Kenny, revealed that former LSU head coach Brian Kelly never reached out to him or his family after his son's death. In response to a Facebook post about Frank Wilson being named LSU's interim coach, Kenny Lacy said, "This dude actually came and sit down with our family and showed us some real genuine love when my son died, along with a couple other coaches. I didn't even get a call or a text from that dude in the back. Must be nice to get paid millions to get your walking papers." Let's get it, Coach Frank. Must be nice to get paid millions to get your walking papers. I didn't even get a call or a text. Good God. Good God. One thing about that part of the situation that I hadn't thought about before, which I should have, being somebody that literally just said that he should have been called out while he was the current head coach still. I didn't like Brian Kelly a whole lot. Like I said, I mentioned him last week as having done some pretty shady stuff. Probably should have just gone ahead and covered it. But, Kyren Lacy, that situation, where's your head coach at? Where is your head coach at? The guy who literally just was, in charge of your development, in charge of your day-to-day activities, in charge of basically your entire life, that his parents left him with you. And this situation transpires where, he thinks that he possibly has killed somebody. And it's not Brian Kelly's fault that the situation kind of transpired the way that it did, as far as Kyren Lacy just kind of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But think about the fact that this is a leader of this man. This is a leader of men. This is a leader of Kyren Lacy, of Kyren Lacy. And Kyren Lacy gets in a situation where he ultimately, what it appears to be, was innocent, and so innocent, in fact, that he was essentially framed of taking somebody's life, and he feels that there is no way out. He has no support. He is so alone. He is such in a lose-lose situation that the kid takes his life. Maybe that would have happened had Brian Kelly been the greatest, most responsible leader and most supportive guy possible. But you got to think not. You got to think not, especially as this evidence starts to pile up. As I mentioned in the last episode, somebody should make a video about this. Here we are.
Greg Brooks Jr., starting safety at LSU, was at the top of his game. He was captain of the football team, starting 13 of 14 games he played. By many accounts, he was a prospect for the NFL.
I feel like this year is great. We have a better bond throughout the team, and I feel like it's going to be good.
But all that came to a shocking end when a sudden illness took him off the field.
Now people cannot understand me.
Take us back to September 2023. You learned that your son had a brain tumor.
My question was, why that kid? Everything that we want our young men to be, this kid signified that.
It was August of 2023. The newly selected team captain said he began feeling dizzy, had a headache, and was nauseous during practice.
Dude, he's a team captain. He's a team captain. Like, I don't think that people that don't play or have never played sports understand that doesn't just randomly happen. That's not like, he met some kind of qualification, he becomes a captain. That's most of the time that's voted on. A lot of times the coaches have a lot to do with that as well, but a lot of times it's just straight up players voting on it. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. The only time that ever isn't as big a deal is a lot of times rookie quarterbacks that end up starting because of the investment that's been made into them. A lot of times they'll end up captains. Not always. It's actually more of an indictment if they're not a captain right away in that scenario. But other than that, a guy like this becoming a captain, it's a huge, huge, huge deal. Not that it would be okay if it was somebody that rode the bench, but this is not some random player.
In a lawsuit he has since filed against Louisiana State University and Our Lady of the Lake Medical Center for negligence, Greg alleges he passed out and then began to vomit minutes later in front of his coaches and athletic trainers. He says he was told by the athletic trainer he had vertigo and was cleared to return to practice. According to the filing, despite continuing to report those symptoms on a daily basis, it wasn't until 39 days after Greg's symptoms began that the team made an appointment with the neurologist who discovered the brain tumor. What did the school or the coaches tell you about what he was going through?
Nothing. The one call that I received was, I need you to get here. Your son is having emergency surgery tomorrow morning.
Were there a point where you were concerned about who was in charge of that decision?
He's at LSU, one of the best colleges in the United States. Would I have ever thought that his best interest wouldn't be at heart?
So you didn't seek a second opinion?
No, sir.
Brooks claims the family was led to believe Greg alleges he passed only option was moving forward emergently with the brain surgery. Also alleging the surgeon was not qualified to do this particular surgery, during which Brooks suffered multiple strokes and was left with severe and permanent injuries. What is the first thing that you remember when you came out of surgery?
Honestly, I always think like I was in disbelief.
Felt like a dream.
Yeah, like a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from.
After radiation and chemotherapy, Greg, now 23, is cancer-free, but his recovery is far from over. Little Greg, as the Brooks family calls him, has had to relearn how to eat, write, and speak. Why do you want to speak out now, little Greg?
I just want young athletes in the same spot I was. If something...
My son almost lost his life, Coach. Where were you? Forget about football. Pick up the phone and say you love the kid, man. God. I don't know if you can, actually see that, but yeah, that's... So let's just recap, by the way. This has been going on for 39 days. He's now been referred to a specialist scheduled for brain surgery on this tumor now. They misdiagnosed him. They allowed him to continue to fucking practice and play. And then when they realized they had fucked up, they just made the decision for the kid. Didn't even consult his own father. Didn't even, they just unilaterally fucked this kid's life up forever. It's just fucking terrible. And then didn't even have the decency to reach out to his own fucking parents until right before the surgery was going to happen. And then didn't have the decency to check on him a single fucking time afterwards. Just to be clear what we're dealing with here. Really, really rough situation there that Brian Kelly presided over. The only defense for this is that it happens at every program in the country. And I hope not. I hope to fucking God that it doesn't happen at every program in the country. And that's a terrible defense, by the way. But that's the only one that I could think of is that, this was blown out of proportion, taken out of context or something. I don't fucking know. I can't imagine how it would be. But basically, in case it's not clear, we are not upset that Brian Kelly lost his job, and we would, if we had it our way, Brian Kelly would never have a job again, being in any kind of authority position over kids and in any kind of leadership position of kids. This is something that that touches pretty close to home for me. And as far as coaches that don't live up to that role, it's really gross. It's really gross. These guys that get on a power trip and they play with kids' lives, whether it be college or high school. So I got another couple videos that I actually do want to play for you regarding Brian Kelly. Like I said, we're hitting this one pretty hard in this video, and then I can't wait to show you what the governor of Louisiana said. But I just want to go ahead and show you a couple more of these before I show you how much money Brian Kelly is going to be making for as a reward for being a horrific person and coach. Let's see what else we got here.
The wildest Brian Kelly being a bad person story that you've heard? Well, people aren't holding back their stories today on the internet the day after he's been fired, so let's go through some of the greatest hits. We'll start with this one from his Central Michigan days when assistant coaches Matt LaFleur and Robert Saleh thought they were invited to a party at his house. However, it turns out they weren't on the guest list, and Brian Kelly made them shovel snow and park cars all night.
What? Okay, this is the first time I've seen this video. So we go back to Central Michigan. Let's go.
Instead of enjoying the party. Or this one where he was at a Notre Dame. However,
Brian Kelly killed a kid? I don't even know what that one's about. Now, you know why Notre Dame fans celebrated when he left and Marcus came in. We have the best coach in the country now. They may have the best coach in the country, but also wouldn't be upset about losing this motherfucker either. That's for sure.
Dame recruit's house the day he accepted the LSU job, stepped out to take a phone call, the phone call that he was going to LSU, but came back in and proceeded to house 3 servings of burnt ends from this family's dinner.
Dog, this man has no shame, bro. Oh my God. I mean, that's nowhere near as bad as obviously the other stuff, but what the fuck? This man just shamelessly ate dinner at a recruit's house, just chilling. They're like, yeah, coach, so I can't wait to come visit Notre Dame and see the facilities. He's like, huh? No, oh yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Real quick though, will you pass me a little bit more of those?
Family was shocked minutes later when they found out he was heading to LSU. Kyren Lacy's dad said Brian Kelly never gave him a call or a text after Kyren's tragic situation, but he did give a shout out to interim coach Frank Wilson, who did show the family some love after that. There's also the story of Greg Brooks, Kelly's former player at LSU who had a brain tumor, now paralyzed. As his father said, Brian Kelly, my son almost lost his life, coach. Where were you? Pick up the phone. Say you love the kid. They didn't hear from Brian Kelly. I think everybody knows this story by now.
I actually don't know the story of that, whatever the hell is just on the ground there. I much would have preferred if you elaborate on that, but that's okay.
He clearly wasn't a popular guy in Louisiana. Even Malik Neighbors posted a video of a guy kicking rocks, okay? Some of these crazy stories coming out. Do you think Brian Kelly finds another job in college football?
No, he definitely will find another job in college football, unfortunately. We got one more of these for you real quick. This is from Max Brown, who is historically, they call him one of the biggest busts as far as, he was supposed to be this generational talent, and he ended up not being, but he has turned his mind for football into content creation. So let's see what he has to say about Brian Kelly.
Just can't be an coach anymore. I got 5 reasons why. 1, today's players don't respond to that energy. Look at guys like Dan Lanning.
They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins.
Or Marcus Freeman.
We gotta go to work. I'm not saying continue to do the same. We gotta find different ways and better ways to do it.
Player-coach relationships have evolved. Players want leadership, not dictatorship. 2, social media exposes everything. He had a student film practice from a lift on a windy day, and the kid sadly and tragically died.
So that's what the thing was. When the thing was on the ground, Kelly answers why Notre Dame practiced during high winds. Notre Dame coach Brian Kelly discussed his decision to hold practice outdoors Wednesday during the high winds that caused Declan Sullivan to lose his life. Sullivan was filming practice on a lift when a gust of wind knocked it over. Brother. Kelly said he decided the Irish could have a productive and safe practice on their outdoor practice field last Wednesday despite the wind. The National Weather Service said the wind was gusting up to 51 miles per hour at the time. At the time the tower was toppled. Kelly said Notre Dame had systems in place that deal with safety issues at practice, and that those systems on that day failed and are being evaluated. I would fucking say so. You killed somebody. Dude, what the fuck? And he was just like, put the GA up there on the tower. Who cares? Like, what in? I honestly, I didn't even know that. Wow. I don't even know. Does this not prove my point that you can do no fucking wrong once you're a coach? Good God.
He never reached out to a player after brain tumor surgery.
Specifically, Brian Kelly. My son almost lost his life, coach. Where were you? Forget about football. Pick up the phone and say you love the kid, man.
Those moments spread like wildfire now. You see those on Twitter right next to a video of Freeman firing guys up. Who would you want to play for? Who are fans going to have more patience for? 3, Kelly couldn't laugh at himself. Remember the fake Southern accent?
Yes. Thank you, Max Brown. You're a better fucking YouTuber than I am.
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
Yeah. With my family. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family. I ain't never heard somebody speak like that in my fucking life.
See camera moments.
I say right foot creep, walking with that heat. Look around, stay low, make sure they don't see you.
Because he never leaned into those moments or laughed about them, it comes across as just super corny. 4, today's athletes are getting paid. They can just leave if you don't treat them well. And 5, reporters now have self-sufficient platforms. Those beat writers that Brian Kelly snapped at?
Is that the first question? We won the game 20-10. Try another question.
They've got podcasts and social media followers now outside of the network they work for. They can clap back.
We'll open it up to this late arriving media crowd that must have enjoyed the weekend.
Got him!
You just can't be an coach anymore.
That is a problem for guys like Brian Kelly, and a problem for guys like, coaches like Brian Kelly, who have had their thumb on kids' lives for, since football started. And I am not upset that they are finding their way out and that they are upset about kids having a say. I think that NIL has gotten out of control. I'm a Tennessee fan. Need I say more about NIL being out of control? But at the same time, it saves kids from pieces of shit like this guy. Great video there. Pretty much sums, I think, it all up. We spent enough time on this, but it really needed to be driven home that this is a terrible, terrible dude. Not to mention a terrible football coach in perspective of what he has thought about. He's a decent football coach. Definitely not enough to overcome, killing kids and leaving guys, that were captains of your football team on a surgery table to have brain surgery for cancer that you misdiagnosed, and you can't even give him a fucking phone call. So, yeah, definitely not a good enough coach for that. Not that any good coaching would ever make up for that. I thought that it was important to really dig into this today, just so you know about how great the world is. Brian Kelly will make 31 cents per second, $18 per minute, $1,100 per hour, $26,000 per day, $186,000 per week, and $800,000 per month for the next 6 years. So yeah, that's super, super cool to get essentially rewarded for destroying people's lives and killing 20-year-old graduate assistants. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely fucking unbelievable. This quote right here, let's go ahead and just jump into this. So this is in response. This is some of the fallout from Brian Kelly's departure. Earlier today, Louisiana governor, as in the governor of the state, Jeff Landry said he'd let Donald Trump, not see that part, said he'd let Donald Trump pick LSU's next coach before allowing LSU athletic director Scott Woodward to do it. I did see that he would not let him pick the next coach. No, I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selected the next head coach. I'd let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. Let's listen to the full quote, though. By the way, this dude from Louisiana.
Bill. So, yeah, absolutely. Who's that? No. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach. Hold on. One real quick thing on that. Because here's what y'all reporters need to do. Y'all need to start looking at who represents all these people. Like these agents. You know what's interesting? If I'm not mistaken, Woodard's agent, Kelly's agent, the Texas A&M, they're all the same agent. Like you realize if I would be, I don't know how many sports writers we got here today? Just you. We should have a bunch. Okay? Like this is ridiculous. Lawyers would be disbarred for the way these agents act and the way they're able to represent. In fact, there's no doubt, they may even represent some of the players now. Like it's really time for the NCAA to put on some guard, to foot the bill. So yeah, absolutely. Who's that? In college sports. Because, and it's fine, we don't need the guardrails. If big billionaires want to spend all that kind of money, no problem. But if I got to go find $53 million from Kevin, it's not going to be a pleasant conversation. I'm just telling you. I don't know.
Brother, that's a Louisiana accent. That is a Cajun accent. Good God. Brian Kelly did not spend enough time trying to perfect that because it ain't nothing close to this. Which, by the way, terrible accent to try to copy because this is... This is crazy. Listen to how this man talks. And he brought up, I was wondering if they would play that part, but he brought up the fact that the current AD for LSU was also the guy who gave Jimbo Fisher his contract, which was 10 years, like $75 million. So he ended up with the largest. We've talked about the buyouts several times now, but the largest one ever that I've been referencing was Jimbo Fisher. And now you have a $53 million buyout for Les Miles that was negotiated by the same man, Scott Woodward. The obvious first question when you hear that quote is, how does this guy have a job still? The governor of Louisiana. First of all, I don't even know how the governor of Louisiana can prevent him from picking the coach. By the way, I actually don't know in all seriousness if that's even a thing. But not coincidentally, I would say, LSU and AD Scott Woodward are expected to separate in the near future. Sources tell Pete Thamel. This move comes in the wake of Governor Jeff Landry's criticism of Woodward. That's about all I got for you on that one, motherfucker. Yeah. Oh, just for the record, while we're leaving this subject behind, I forgot we got another former player. I was forced to medically retire before I could get a second or third opinion when I was playing very well before my injury. I'd hear from Coach Kelly quite often. The second I got injured, not a word since. Genuinely one of the worst human beings I've been around ever. This is not uncommon. This is not uncommon in coaching. I'm telling you. Trust me. It's not. A lot closer to home than you might think, some of these stories. To add on, I showed up for every other meeting, workout, rehab appointment, you name it. I was tossed aside like a piece of garbage. I just made 19-year-olds at the time. I just made 19-year-old at the time. It's a weird way to put that. But my world was completely shattered, and Kelly made sure he knew I was not accepted as a part of the team. Unless you were producing positively for him on the field, he could care less about you. He passed me in the hallways, not a glimpse, not a word. He's only in it for the money and himself. Absolutely ruined the culture of LSU football, and I hope people see the real Brian Kelly. It is sad how much this happens, even at the high school level. A lot of local programs around here that are like that as well. To wrap up today, long episode today, pretty much covering exclusively basically one story, but just different factions of that one story. But glad that we got to hammer home on that. To close out today, I will be doing what we usually do, which is just kind of giving you guys some rapid fire stories that I thought were interesting. Drew Mestmaker, Mestmaker, Mestemaker. The first FBS player with 600 passing yards and 75% completion percentage since Geno Smith in 2012. Yeah, 608. Yeah. Let's look at a little bit of his work here. Got a little bit of a read, and then he's going to step up. Boom. Nice, easy release on that. Oh, love the trajectory. You know we love us some trajectory on a deep ball. That was a great throw right there. I have a reason why I'm showing you this, by the way. The kid set, it's a great record that he set 600 yards and whatnot, but it's not just the record that we are showing you. 608 yards, yeah. Total stat line, 37 of 49, 4 tutties. Did have a pick? Just kidding. And North Texas increases their record overall to 7-1. The reason why I wanted to show you this in particular is because this guy is the product of a coach who is because of his story. Drew Mestamaker. We're going to go with Mestamaker for now. Drew Mestamaker never started a varsity game at quarterback in high school, was a 0-star recruit, and decided to walk on in North Texas. The freshman now leads the country in passing just through for a school record.
The most dangerous man in all of college football is this man right here. Yes, Eric Morris. He was Patrick Mahomes' offensive coordinator at Texas Tech. He then recruited 0-star quarterback Cam Ward at Incarnate Ward. Then when he became the offensive coordinator at Washington State, guess who he brought with him? Cam Ward. And you can see how much this man means to Cam Ward when Ward got drafted. Thank you. Then after Cam Ward, guess who he recruits to Washington State? John Mateer. Mateer goes off, and now he's a Heisman candidate at Oklahoma. And now he's the head coach at North Texas, where he recruited 0-star QB Drew Mestamaker. In his first start since 9th grade, he threw for 400 yards. And I need you to just look at this first throw. I have never seen anything like that. And now, just like he did with Cam Ward and John Mateer, he's going to get this guy to a big-name school. There is not a more lethal man in all of college football right now than this man right here, Eric Morris.
So, yeah, that's a pretty interesting story that we got right there. Shout out to North Texas and our boy Drew Mestamaker. Pretty sure is how you pronounce that. 2 more stories for you before we wrap up. The second to last one is a funny story that came across literally as I was making this. YouTube TV, which I was legitimately actually thinking about switching to, is having a little bit of a problem at the moment. ABC and ESPN channels have been removed from YouTube TV after they couldn't come to an agreement on a new contract. YouTube TV customers won't be able to watch a lot of major college football matchups this weekend unless something changes tomorrow. This is the official statement from YouTube TV. Despite our best efforts, we have not been able to reach a fair deal, and starting today, Disney programming will not be available on YouTube TV. This means you will no longer be able to watch channels like ABC or ESPN or access recordings from these networks in your library, which I'm sure everybody does all the time. We know how disruptive it is to lose your channels. We're committed to continuing to work with Disney to reach an agreement. If the content is unavailable for an extended period of time, we'll offer our members a $20 credit. Big fucking what? Whoop-dee-doo. YouTube TV will not be getting a subscription from me. And the last story that we have for you today is that, speaking of one of those matchups, Tennessee and Oklahoma play this weekend in the best atmosphere in all of college football, a night game at Tennessee. Halloween weekend, we went to the first game in 2022. I'll have a vlog actually from that game at some point. Whenever I start going back and doing vlogs from the footage that I have accumulated over the last few years. One of those games is Tennessee versus Kentucky at Neyland Stadium at night, Halloween weekend, when they played Spooky Rocky Top for the first time. I was also at the original, true story, dark mode game in Neyland when they played South Carolina and came out in these jerseys right here. So I'm going to leave you with a big go Vols as far as this goes. As always, giving you something to watch here at the very, very end. And as always, at the end, please subscribe to Hybrid Studios and engage with Hybrid Studios. We are on X, TikTok, Instagram, obviously here on YouTube as well. Please subscribe, share this with somebody who may enjoy it. Turn your post notifications on so you never miss a video, all that stuff. It really, really does mean more than you can possibly imagine.
As if Neyland Stadium isn't always packed with orange. Add Halloween night to the mix in Knoxville. Skycam becomes Scarecam tonight. Tennessee hoping to carve out an SEC win with their first-year head coach, Lane Kiffin. But on the other side, it's the Gamecocks of South Carolina and the old head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. We're getting set for a packed house on a scary night in Knoxville. The SEC on ESPN is next. Time presented by Hampton Hotels. It'll be a packed house in Neyland Stadium in Knoxville tonight. They were hoping for a blackout, but quite frankly, the weather's going to put a lot of orange parkas out in the stands this evening. About 52 degrees. We've got rain coming down. It may not end before halftime. Welcome, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler with my somewhat scary partner, Todd Blackledge.
So it looks like he's getting it done.
Well, the swagger continues. For the first time ever, the Volunteers are in black jerseys. The crowd is loving it. Can the mouth of the South and his team back up those brand new jerseys? Here come the Volunteers. The Gamecocks are 6-2. The Volunteers at 3-4, looking to even their record. We're going to have some fun on Rocky Top tonight. As if...
Oh my God, brother. Inject that straight to my fucking face. Let's fucking go. Balls by fucking 100. Fuck you, John Mateer.